You never saw yourself as a leader? Well, neither did I. Today, we're talking about life, leadership, and how we can be better at both. I want to welcome you to Fully Alive. I'm Jeff Capusta, and we are joined by a great friend of mine, Pastor Brandon Goff. He pastors Radiate Church in Columbia, South Carolina. It's great to have you on the show today.
Oh, man, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So you've been married for 16 years to your wife, Megan. Incredible. She's a part of your team. 3 kids, Brody, Kylie, Cullen. And you've been pastoring for 13 years.
Yeah.
Radiate exists in 2 locations.
Yeah.
I think about, obviously great friend. You're a great leader. In the words of leadership guru John Maxwell, everything rises and falls on leadership.
Yep.
You know, I've learned this is true in my personal life, and it's also true in our organization, in our church. Once upon a time, I had a podcast called Everybody Leads, and the tagline was, but not everybody's a good leader. And I want to talk life and leadership today. And I know a lot of you that are joining us may not see yourself as a leader, but I want to tell you, you are a leader. If the only person you lead is yourself, you're a leader. And you'll never qualify for leadership if you can't learn to lead yourself. I want to talk leadership with you today. And I just want to begin with this question. When did you know you're a leader?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I didn't grow up, we've talked about this. I didn't grow up having this, I was a great sports guy. I was super popular. I wasn't that guy. And if you get to know me, that doesn't shock you, right? It's great. But
You're not captain of the team?
No, I never was, surprisingly.
Me either.
Yeah. But I had a youth pastor that saw something in me that I didn't see in me. And I'm pretty sure others didn't either. And he began to call that out in my life. Hey, you're a leader. People are going to follow you, all this stuff. And I doubted him. But over time, I began to see where people would follow. And I had a knack for finding solutions and helping people find solutions to problems, all that kind of stuff, and creativity. And as I leaned into who I was and leaned into who he said he saw that I could be and what God just put in me, I began to see that, there's something here in the sense of people listen, people follow. I'm not just taking a walk by myself. I'm walking with others that want to help make a dream happen or make a solution take place. And so I wouldn't say it was like an instant moment where I said, hey, I'm a leader, let's go. It was this lifestyle of something being called out of me and me recognizing the things God put in me and how the leadership came out of that.
I think that's great. I think a lot of times we get this idea that leaders are born.
Yeah.
It's like, man, they're just good. And there are some people, I think, that just have this, that they walk with a swagger, they've got this. I think so many more leaders they're made, they're developed. I love that somebody spoke into the potential that they saw in you.
Yeah.
And then fast forward however many years, and now you've been in this leadership, obviously speaking into other people. So I've kind of had this running document that I've kept on my phone for probably at least 10 years now. And it's just called Raw Thoughts on Leadership. That's all. Yeah. It's just raw thoughts on leadership. So here's what I want to do. You feel free to agree, disagree, expound. I'm going to give you one of these thoughts. We won't get through the whole thing. And I just want, let's just discuss a little bit, because we've got folks, man, they're leading at home. And they're like, I feel like I'm drowning with just my little kids. And then some, they're going to a job that maybe they love, maybe they don't love. Some, it's a sports team. We're all in leadership positions. And I would say we want to grow. We want to be better. I think that's the nature for most people.
Yeah.
But how to get there is so difficult. So these are going to be, there's a little bit of a shotgun.
Okay.
Raw thoughts on leadership.
Let's go.
Here's number 1. I want your thoughts. Leadership is hard, and it only gets harder. Thoughts?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah. Everybody wants to get to the place of leadership. They want the glamour. They want the title, even the authority, whatever it brings, right? The hard part is when you accept the position, it's the easiest point, because now you've got all kinds.
Yes.
You've got decisions, leadership, and influence costs. And the higher you go, the more it costs.
Yeah, the bill gets steep.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, it costs relationships. It costs things that you normally don't mind doing. But if you do in certain contexts, it costs you the influence of your position to someone or to an organization or whatever, right? And so leadership only gets more expensive. The higher you go, the more you do, and the more impactful and wide-reaching what you're doing is. Yeah.
Maxwell calls it the law of the price tag.
Yeah.
That as you go up, the price gets steeper. I was in a coaching network probably a couple years into the life of our church, and was there with a bunch of pastors. And the guy leading it, he said, planting your church is the easiest step that you will ever take. And I was like, bro, do you even know what we did?
Yeah.
And I've since come to learn that, yes, the responsibility goes up, the price tag goes up, the criticism goes up, new levels, new devils, as Bishop T.D. Jakes says.
Yeah.
And so, okay, yeah, I would say it's a universal.
Well, I think the idea is everybody sees the leadership glam and the glamour of it all, and we get enamored with
come
that,
on.
right?
I mean, I see your highlight reels on social media, and it's like, look, I know how to take a good photo to make the room look full. All right,
That's right. Yeah.
If I take it, there's empty seats. I'm going to reframe it. I'll crop that, and I find that it is true. Everybody wants to do what you do, but they don't want to do what you did.
That's right.
And there's a lot of there's an early investment, but even now, I know. You guys, a church of around 1,000 people.
Yeah.
You've got employees that you're responsible for.
Yeah.
The price tag goes up.
Yep.
I remember coming out of the office one day and I was talking to one of our executives and I said, what are these people doing here? And he's like, they work here. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, their livelihood is in my hands now. That's great. Yeah.
All right, here's the second thought. Okay. Second thought. You aren't as good as your best days and you aren't as bad as your worst days.
Yeah, that's a good one and 100% true. Because here's what happens, right? As the leader, you got all this pressure. We just talked about the price tag of it. It's a high cost,
right? All
that stuff. That's great. But here's what it does. It creates this vacuum of pressure that on my best days, you're like, oh, I am crushing this thing.
Right.
Like I'm making the right decisions. I'm building the right relationships. I'm networking with the right people. But whenever there's a bad day, it's it's a house of cards. It's coming falling down. It's terrible. And so it's this ride of emotions, and you have to, I have this saying, you've heard me say it, Jeff, several times. I believe the truth usually sits in the middle somewhere in life, in a lot of areas, especially in this area, that you're probably not as good as you feel in that moment, but you're probably not as bad as you feel in that moment either. And just kind of come back to the average. What is the median? What is the 8-week average of my life and decisions? And that's probably a little more accurate of where you are.
Well, I know in our line of work, again, talking to pastor here, but again, we got folks in sales.
Yeah.
And, you come off of a big sales day and you're like, this is amazing. I'm going to make so much money. And then the next month it's like crickets. Yeah. And you can feel like I'm amazing. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
I feel this pressure every time I step in the pulpit. I got to hit a home run.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is you don't. Nobody does. If we're talking baseball, if you get on base a third of the time, you get to go to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
You might be in the world, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like this is unbelievable. But for some reason we carry this pressure that it's always got to be amazing. And it was Pastor Dino Rizzo that said to me one day, he said, live for the average days.
So good.
Hey, celebrate the good ones.
Yeah.
And it's why for us.
Yeah.
In our industry, we love to celebrate Easter.
Yeah, of
Biggest
course.
day ever.
Yeah.
No pastor talks about the week after Easter. It's like, well,
no.
We're changing the world. It's over. Shut it down. And so.
Well, you and I have shared texts on Time Change Sundays about like how bad it is, and we'll laugh about it, right?
Yeah.
But and I think what has happened, Jeff, is we've created in leadership and in life. You talked about the highlights versus behind the scenes earlier. We've created this society that is focused and enamored with highlight reels and its highlights.
Yes.
And so now I got to compete with your highlight, but I have no idea about your lowlights.
Yeah. And little do you know, I got an amazing social media team that makes my highlights look even higher than they are.
Yeah.
Hey, highlight reels aren't real.
Yeah,
okay?
that's exactly right. And I think the real estate agent and the pastor can all go, you know what? My life isn't always a highlight reel, and neither is theirs.
Yeah.
And I can handle this.
So live for the average days. What an encouragement.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Be average.
Be average and we're good. Yes, I love it.
All right, third thought. All right, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise and the hare. We learned it growing up. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yes. I hate agreeing with that. I am not happy about this.
Let me reframe it. Slow and steady wins the race, but it never gets invited to preach at the conference.
Yes, that's good.
Come to this conference. This is Pastor Brandon Goff. It took him years to break 200 people.
Absolutely. 4.5 to be exact.
The lowest sales associate that we've ever had. Everybody come listen to how he took 5 years to break, whatever record. Talk about this, because you didn't see an overnight. It wasn't, Radiate was not an overnight success.
No, it wasn't. And here's the reality, right? Slow and steady wins the race. And I think there's something so powerful in that, because can it take off and things go well? Can you step into your sales job and start breaking records within 6 months? Yeah.
Right. And we all hope for that.
Yeah. And I think you work for that, right? You put in the work for that to take place. But we got to remember, again, we're living for the average days. And so it's okay to not be an overnight success, if you will. But here's the reality. It took us 4.5 to 5 years before we ever approached 200. Right. And by all standards, Jeff, you know this, in the church planting world.
That's the kiss of death.
Yeah, we're
to
done.
Not break 200.
We're done after 2 years. They say if you don't break 200 after 2 years, you'll never break it. Well, we didn't even sniff it for 5.
We're not even sniffing 200.
Yeah, we're like, okay, I don't know what it smells like, looks like, acts like, right? So 4.5 to 5 years before we did. But here's what it did in me. It taught me so much character and so much perseverance. Because I don't think if I'd have hit it, and let's say I hit 500 within 6 months. Great, that's amazing, that's incredible. I think it would have sunk me.
Okay.
I think it would have sunk me and sunk my family. And here's the truth. For the first year of our church, I worked 4 jobs by myself to pay the bills, because I was paying the church's bills and my bills, right? We didn't launch the right way. So don't, I can tell you exactly how not to start a church. But what it did teach me is I care about this thing, and God's really going to develop this. And what can happen is overnight success is not actually real. It takes a while to get there.
It's about 20 years in the making.
Right. And it's not actually real, number one. And number two, the process prepares you for success. Yeah.
Well, and I think my thoughts are, a lot of folks, it takes time for roots to develop.
Yeah.
We all want the fruit, but we don't have the root.
Yeah.
The fruit without the root is not sustainable.
That's right.
So what happens is, I think we get really complacent, or we get frustrated. And so we'll bounce from job to job to job. And we've been in this industry for 20 years, but we don't have 20 years of experience. We have 1 year of experience 20 times over.
Yeah.
And it's slow and steady. It's sometimes you win by just being the last man standing.
That's right.
Keep showing up, stay faithful, stay the course, do your job, do it well.
Well, what you're saying, there's something to what you said. I mean, you've been pastoring 19 years.
19.
And I've been pastoring, I've been pastoring 23, but lead pastor for 13. And there's something to say about just stay faithful. In the good days, you're there. And in the bad days, guess what? You're there.
Right.
And there's something about, there's progress in the process of that. I love that.
I think that's great. I think that translates. I mean, in your marriage, slow and steady.
Yes.
In your business, slow and steady. In your parenting, slow and steady.
Yeah.
Keep showing up. Okay. Next thought. Ready? I told you we're going in a bunch of directions.
Let's go.
Being yourself is easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
What if you don't know who you are?
That's great. Okay. So how do I even figure that out?
Yeah. And that is the age-old question, right? I think it's going on this journey of going, who am I not? I think you have to eliminate who you're not. So you and I have laughed about this whole thing that, in the early stages of our industry, we would mimic leadership styles and even preaching styles of different guys that are,
I had
making
multiple personalities.
Yeah, same.
In the beginning.
You could go back to the early years and you could go, oh, that year he was this guy.
Right.
We
didn't need guest preachers in the early days, because I might be somebody different. You might get Andy Stanley this week. You might get, Andy, I'd pull my stool up, be like, come on. I'd do my best Andy impression. And I'd be Irwin, and I would talk about, I a little bit whiny like Irwin. And I'd be Louis Giglio, talk about the cosmos and the bigness of God. And, I'm glad I stopped it. So my most outlandish attempt to be somebody else was Ed Young Jr. He rhymes everything.
Yes.
And he has this line, and I ripped it off. I ripped it. It's like, when your desire to acquire goes haywire and your quest to store more sends you to the store more.
Did you do that?
100%. Praise the Lord, I stopped before I got to my TD Jakes. I'd be like, get ready.
You were the rapping
touch
pastor.
10 people and tell them the Lord is. But it was, everybody's like, hey, it'll be fine. Just be yourself. And you're like, I don't know who I am.
But you have to eliminate who you're not first. I really think that. So I've heard Stephen Furtick say this before, that when he first started, he had to borrow the boldness of other people.
Okay.
And I think there's something to borrowing their boldness, but the problem is when you become their personality.
Right.
And so you have to get to a place where I'm borrowing your boldness. Jeff, you've helped me with that a lot. And the reality is I've got to come to a place where I go, no, like I like that aspect, but that is not who I am. And it's really easy for people to see through the facade. They know who you are before you do a lot of times. So you go through this process of eliminating who you're not, and then you go, but this is what I enjoy.
Right.
This is what's natural. This is what's easy. This is who I am. And you develop that voice in, whether it's in sales, whether it's in managing, whether it's in being an executive assistant, a pastor, wherever you are, and you go, this is how I communicate. This is how I lead. This is how I inspire. Because here's the truth. People are called to your voice, not your rendition of someone else's.
Right. I think one of the easiest things out there is to be a cover band. Like I think about when I learned to play the guitar, I didn't necessarily learn to play the guitar. I learned to play songs.
Yeah.
I could play riffs of songs. And there's a lot of guys, and there's people that have made a living out of just covering everybody else's songs. And again, maybe that's what you want to do, but I feel like the Lord has given a unique voice to not just preachers, but teachers and to salesmen and to doctors. I think study what works, but at the end of the day, you got to figure out your voice. You got to find your heartbeat, your DNA. I tell preachers, I say, spend about 6 months listening to everybody, then spend 6 months listening to nobody.
Yes.
And let's just see what kind of a voice emerges. And I feel like someone asked me one time, they said, are you a preacher or a teacher? And I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think I'm a teacher that likes to preach. And so it is, it's easier said than done. So
there's this old country phrase from where I'm at in Columbia, right? I was born and raised in Elgin, South Carolina. It's this: what makes your heart pump peanut butter? And it's
like
a real,
I know.
But listen, this is the heart. You got to listen to the point behind it, right? The point is, what makes you get up and go? Like what pushes through your veins?
Like peanut butter.
Like peanut butter. Because it's not going to be easy, but what pushes through your veins? What purpose? Don't make fun of my country phrases from my upbringing, Jeff. Okay. It's just where we are in life. All right.
I'm just going to leave that alone.
So Jeff, I have what makes your heart pump peanut butter, Jeff?
Currently on the carnivore diet, I can't have peanut butter.
Like
next question.
That's good.
Hey,
yeah.
You're not in the seat of asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay?
Sorry, my bad. I apologize.
Let me ask you. Okay. Next one. All right. Don't criticize others. Let me finish the thought. All right, don't criticize others. Chances are you don't have a clue what you're doing either. You don't know them, their stage of leadership, their calling, their circumstances. There's always a backstory.
Yeah. Criticism is entirely too easy nowadays. And here's the truth. You don't know you don't know how you'd react in that situation until you've been in that situation.
That's good.
You know, as our church has grown, I've learned that some of the things I was critical of, I'm now like, oh, I get it. It makes complete sense at this point, you know? And, for instance, when you're 1,000 plus, I can't meet with everybody,
right?
You know, we're growing, great things are happening. That's awesome. That's all secondary, but I can't meet with everybody. I can't go face-to-face coffee with everybody. So the people I used to criticize and be like, how dare they, you know, now I'm like, oh, I actually get it. You only have so many hours in a day and so much time in a week to navigate those conversations, and it just can't happen. So I would just say, I wouldn't criticize until you know how you'd be in the situation, until you know their backstory. Right. Yeah, you're right.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, that's
I remember
good.
Thinking, when our church was a lot smaller and I'm trying to shake every single hand. And I would hear about, somebody would come in and they go, well, I went to such and such a church, but that pastor doesn't even stand in the lobby and greet people.
Yeah.
And you were like, how dare he?
Yeah.
I would never. I'm here. I'm your new best friend.
Yeah.
And the truth is, as we've grown, you start realizing there's just some things that you didn't know and you can't do.
Yeah.
And I know that's just in our industry, but I'm sure as you grow, in other industries, there's just things you don't understand. Criticism, like a critical spirit, is not healthy to begin with.
Yeah.
And it requires no skill to tear down.
Yes.
So, let's build up, let's encourage. And so anyway, I've noticed that a lot of times leaders can be quick to criticize another leader because it makes them look bigger. You don't have to, if you got to tear somebody down to build yourself up,
Yeah.
Well, that's not leadership.
It's not. And the other side is when you're tearing them down, you may just be coming against their personality. And it's just who they are. It's part of their bend and their makeup. And you got to be careful with that. That's dangerous.
Next question.
All right.
We're just shifting gears.
I love it.
This one you may not want to touch, but I'm going to put it out there. Friendship and leadership aren't easy. Hiring friends is fun. Firing them is not. If you wish to plead the fifth, you can do that.
No, I'm good talking about this. It is. I've unfortunately been in situations like that, and it's hard, man. It's hard. Friendship, it sounds great to hire your friends. It's like, oh man, I get to work with my friend, until you got to be a boss to your friend.
Yeah.
Until you got to be, hold your friend accountable to metrics and not just, hey, I like hanging out and having a burger, you know? And the reality is it's hard. There has to be an understanding, and not everybody can do this, and that's okay. But there has to be an understanding. If you're friends with your boss, you have to be able to wear friend hat and boss hat.
Yep.
You have to be able to go, you're talking to me or I'm talking to you as a boss right now, not as a friend. And so I have to take it professionally, not personally. And it's just not a lot of people can make that differentiation. A lot of people will say they can, but really they only find out in the hard moments. And so it is hard. It is hard. I've lost friendships through having friends as leaders and employees. But I've also gone through bumpy times, but strengthened friendships through the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard, man. That one's tough.
It's big. I don't ever want to think that my staff and my team are a means to an end. I don't ever want to treat them like that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's the case. I don't think we use people to build the church. We use the church to build people.
That's right.
But the reality is, it is a job.
Yeah.
And so there are expectations and there's goals. And I've walked with people through their dream of working for the church. And they, we prayed through them stepping down from their job and then stepping onto our team. And then we started realizing a year or two in that they were underperforming. And again, I've referenced multiple times on our podcast that I'm an Enneagram 9. I hate conflict. So I'm not going to fire somebody. I'm going to reposition them, and we'll try another role and then another role and then another role. And then eventually somebody goes, it's not working.
Yeah.
And we've had to part ways. And unfortunately, many times it was also the end of a friendship, which just gutted me.
Yeah.
And it told me, hard decisions, man, they're no fun. And here's the tension that I've wrestled through is I'm going to stand before the Lord and give an account for the way that I led.
That's right.
And I don't want to say, well, God, I put up with a lot of underperformance because they're my friends and I didn't want to have tough conversations.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really hard as a leader. And so I just know there's that tension. Like I love my team.
Yeah.
But I also love the call that is on my life and the mission that we live.
I think if you hire a friend or go work for a friend, it doesn't matter. I think you have to go into it knowing that I'm going to do everything I can to preserve this relationship, even if it means losing the job before the relationship. I mean, it can work, but you both have to be on the same page with that. Or you have to be willing to go, I'm willing to lose the relationship for a professional thing. You have to set those boundaries within yourself, not just within each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one.
Okay.
Celebrate others.
Yeah.
Here's the thought. Not every trophy in God's collection has your name on it.
That one's hard for me to grasp.
Okay. Because you're competitive.
I am incredibly competitive. You know this about me. I turn anything into a competition.
Yeah.
Whether it's who responds first in our group text to anything we're doing, right? It is a competition for me. So I've had to learn how to celebrate others, not because I'm not genuinely happy, but because I want to be the best at what I do, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. But I think the win a lot of times is celebrating someone else. That is the trophy to go, Jeff, you're crushing it. You're great. You're a CrossFit guy. I'm not a CrossFit guy. I'm not. And you're great at it. And so I'm going to celebrate that instead of going to join my local CrossFit gym and like try to kill myself trying to keep up with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's so much power in celebration because I think it allows you to practice honor and celebrate somebody else's gift and realize I'm not the only one gifted. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I said this earlier, but you shouldn't have to tear down someone else to build yourself up.
That's right.
And I think in a lot of industries, church for sure, but like in a business, let's say I sell mattresses. I don't need to tear down the other mattress companies in town. Maybe they hit a banner year and they got voted best mattress shop in town. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send them a fruit basket or some cookies and go, congratulations, you guys are crushing
That's
it.
right.
Because here's the deal. There's enough people that need mattresses in this community
That's
that we
right.
can all win.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, whether it's the fitness world and this new gym has popped up and people have shifted over there, listen, celebrate that.
Yeah.
My daughter said to me one day, she said, Dad, what would you do if Elevation Church, now for those of you that don't know church world, okay, they're one of the largest churches in our nation. What would you do if Elevation opened a location in Wilmington? I said, I would invite their campus pastor to lunch and I'd say, welcome to one of the greatest cities in our nation.
That's right.
And I said, we would be friends. I'd extend them, a handshake. And now internally, I would be wrestling.
Yeah.
I'd wonder how many folks would go over there, but I would celebrate it because that's always been a challenge. I actually have a friend of mine in town. And in the early days, I couldn't stand him and he couldn't stand me.
Yeah.
And every time someone left my church, he went to that church.
Yeah.
Little did I know that when people left his church, they came to our church.
Yeah.
So one day we did lunch and I said, can I be honest with you? I said, I feel like taking a crap in a paper bag, putting on your porch and lighting it on fire. Straight up told him that. And he just busted out. He said, I felt that same way about you.
Yeah.
And we just realized, you know what? Let's celebrate each other. We actually have matching jerseys. And they say Jesus on the front. They have our church name on the back. And we just agreed, as long as we care more about the name on the front than the name on the back,
so good.
Bro, we're teammates.
Well, the scriptures say what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. And so the reality is I need to celebrate you. I need to celebrate what God's doing in you, because if it's all on me to reach people for the kingdom, if it's all on me to make this company float, if it's all on me to make all the sales for this company, it's going to die, and it's going to die fast. But it's a puzzle. It's all of us coming together in our unique shapes and ways to make this thing work.
Well, and I think last thought on this is that, God's got enough blessings to go around.
That's right.
There's enough people to fill every business.
Yep.
There's enough blessings to go around. And if you just got yours, I'm one step closer to getting mine. So I'm going to celebrate you.
That's right.
I'm going to celebrate you. A couple other thoughts. Here's the next. Invest long term. Start making decisions that will reap a return in years and not just weeks.
Yeah, thinking long term, I think, is the key to success in longevity, obviously, because what you do today doesn't just determine today. What you do today determines next month. The decisions I make today are going to affect my wife's emotions next week, my kids in the next year, all those things. And so I have to build, you have to build, we have to build disciplines in our life that get us where we want to go. I'm not going to walk in the gym today. I started working out 3 years ago. And here's what I can tell you. I didn't walk in the first day and see results. But the next day I was sore. Mm-hmm. And so I kept going. And over 3 years, I've finally started to get it to a place where I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I'm more in shape now in my 40s than I was in my 20s. And the truth of the matter is that doesn't happen in one day. And so what happens is we get so short-sighted. What do I do to get the short result? And I think God is interested. I think leaders are interested in, what do I do to make compounding interest? How do I create these disciplines and structures in my life that compounds result upon result upon result upon result? And now those sales add up. And now I'm getting promoted. And now I'm the best executive assistant, or I'm the best manager or CEO. Why? Not because I walked in yesterday, but because 5 years ago, I started working on this.
Bill Gates says, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
That's so good.
I know in the beginning of our organization, it was just survival.
Yeah.
People would be like, what's your 5-year vision? I got no clue. Now people are like, did you think it would look like this in 19 years ago? And I'm going, no, I didn't know we'd even be here.
Yeah.
And at some point though, you've got to shift from immediate, like fast results to, I want to plant seeds now that are going to grow over the long haul.
Yeah.
And so it's that the only thing that grows quick in my yard are weeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I want fruit that lasts, it's going to take many, many years.
The difficulty for a lot of people, and especially high-level leaders, is we move fast and we want fast results.
Right.
And so with that, you've got to learn as a leader, and this is tough. I have to learn this all the time. I have to learn how to slow down and let the process work. I have to go, it's going to take 6 months to see results from this thing. And so work the process and watch the fruit happen when the root takes root, when it digs down. And that's the hard part for like really high level leaders and forward thinking people. And I would just say, slow down, make the disciplines, and get the compounding interest on top of that. Yeah.
That's great. Last one.
Okay.
Your connectivity to Jesus will determine your longevity in leadership.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Jeff, you know a little bit of my story. Last year was a year from hell.
Right.
For me, I lost my executive pastor and best friend suddenly to death. And here's where it comes professionally, because I don't want to get on the personal side. But the professional side is everything wrapped around him. He was the number 2 guy for me. And so I've told you this. There's 2 things that help me outside of my wife and family, right? There's 2 things that help me get through that. And the first one is Jesus. That I had a hope that even when everything felt hopeless and there was nothing to stand on and I didn't feel like I knew how to do it, I knew that I could run to a God that always listened. I could run to Jesus who was always there, and I could run to the Spirit who was always encouraging and empowering me. And I knew that I could do that. And I think if my spiritual life wasn't strong in that moment, I don't know that I would be sitting here as a pastor today. The other thing was connection to people. And I think Jesus connects me to people, connects us to people to help us grow. You were one of those instrumental people in my life that got me through one of the hardest times of my life. And so I think when we lean on Jesus, right, and we openly admit and go, you know what, Lord, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know where to go. There's an anchor in our lives to go, you know what? I don't know, but I know the one that does. And so I'm going to find it. I'm going to open the word. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to hear what he has to say. And there's this connection to Jesus to go, hey, keep rowing, keep digging, keep going. I know right now it's a dark season, but we're going to walk into a green valley, a green pasture soon.
John 15:5, Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit.
Yeah.
For apart from me, you can do nothing. Nothing. This is not written to pastors. This is written to followers of Christ. So business leaders, teachers, parents. And I think about, there's definitely been years of ministry that I was not as connected to the Lord. I was too busy working for him to spend time with him.
Yeah.
And your greatest leadership is going to flow out of your relationship with God. Your greatest parenting moments will flow out of your relationship with God. Your greatest friendships are going to flow out of your connectivity to Christ. It goes back to that. But when life is busy and deadlines are approaching, we're like, God, I don't have time. Here's the most ridiculous thing for me as a pastor. I didn't have time to spend with God because I needed to get a sermon from God.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'd be like, God's like, how about you hang out with me?
Yeah.
And I'll give you what you need. I'm like, I don't got time for that.
Well, and here's the conundrum of that is I can't be everything God put in me to become if I'm not connecting to the source of what I'm going to become.
Right.
And so I try to develop, right, these leadership principles. It's like, if I just do this, then I'll become everything. And God's like, no. That principle did not create and put in you what's in you. I did. So spend time with me. I'll help it grow. And then we work the principles to steward what you have. But you can only become everything God put in you. I don't care what position you hold. It doesn't matter where you work. You can only become everything God put within you to become when you connect to Christ and let him fertilize and grow that thing. That's when it becomes something.
Well, quick thought for those of you that are maybe like, hey, this is cool, but I don't know thing one about connecting with the Lord. Where do I even start?
Yeah.
Man, I would just say to those of you, if you don't have a Bible, there's Bible apps that you can download. The YouVersion Bible app's fantastic. And it could be as simple as going to the book of Proverbs, kind of a wisdom book. There's 31 days in most months. There's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. Read a chapter a day. There's something powerful. We get in the word, it gets in us. Once you finish that, maybe go to the Gospel of Mark or the Gospel of John, start getting the life of Jesus. But there's something that happens when we get in the word. It transforms us. We find a connectivity to Christ. And anyway, I think you're going to be a better leader as a result of that. Well, Brandon, I think you're just a fantastic friend, a strong leader. Those that want to keep up with you, social media, at Pastor B. Goff, Goff, Pastor B. Goff.
Double F.
Final question. Obviously, this is the Fully Alive podcast. I want to ask you this question. What does it mean to you to live fully alive?
For me, what a great question, Jeff. Thanks for having me again. But for me, living fully alive is walking in everything, the full work of what God put in me. And here's the truth. That doesn't mean all the success he has for me. It means I'm present. I'm in today. I've got 3 amazing kids. I got a beautiful wife. I got a growing church. I have amazing friends. Like, I've got so much in my life. And what can happen is I can focus on what I don't have. So I take advantage of what I do. And I think living a full life is going, you know what, God, you've really changed my life. You've blessed me. I got more than I ever deserved. And so I'm going to be present in the life of my 3 kids. I'm going to be present in my life with my wife. I'm going to be present in the life of my church, my friends. I'm going to be present in that moment because you blessed me with that. And you've given me the grace and the opportunity to enjoy today. And everything you put in me matters today. So I'm going to live fully alive today. And then when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to live fully alive all over again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much. And for those of you joining us, man, what an honor. If you haven't taken time to subscribe to the podcast or follow us on YouTube, just dropping a rate or review, sharing this with a friend. It's huge. And hey, we all lead. We're all in it. We're all getting better. Let's do it together. I'll see you guys next week.